Hello! I'm here to tell you about a disorder called borderline personality disorder, or in this case, BPD for short. I'm here to tell you some facts, some truths, and some different other little tidbits about the disorder. So, BPD is identified as a mood disorder. It changes the personality of the person quickly. It can cause extreme highs, extreme lows, and extremities in general. It causes mood swings, extremist behaviors, and in certain cases it can be very, very, very dangerous. Our first fact is that this disorder can cause extremist behaviors such as cutting and in certain cases suicide. But don't worry, this can be prevented. We'll get into prevention later in this video. Our second fact is that this disorder causes warped feelings of oneself and can make feelings of emptiness or loneliness happen at different parts of time. These can last for a few minutes to a couple of days or even weeks in worst case scenarios. Our third fact is that this disorder can be triggered by everyday events, such as somebody leaving for the day or somebody not wanting to talk to you so much. These are huge triggers for BPD, and what may be normal in somebody else's case, in somebody with BPD, these can be major events to cause the mood swings and the triggers and the different kind of side effects that BPD has on the body. Our fourth factor today is that this disorder does not have a lot of study on it, so the risks or the causes of the disorder have not exactly been found out to an exact science, but it has been found out that the family, how the brain structure is, and social environmental factors can all play into part of the risks of this disorder or the development of this disorder. Our fifth factor today is that this disorder is a social disorder. Basically, in a nutshell, that means it causes changes in relationships with your friends, your family, and people you basically interact with in general on a day-to-day basis. It also can cause complications in a job environment where you're surrounded by people daily and who could set up triggers at any moment. This essentially is hard for somebody with BPD to interact with others and actually assimilate into society. Our sixth fact of today is that 80% of people with BPD display suicidal behaviors, unfortunately. On the bright side, about 4 to 9% of people with BPD will die by suicide. I say fortunately because BPD is more common than bipolar disorder, which leads us into fact 7, which is that BPD is often misinterpreted as bipolar disorder. But in the 1970s, it has been discovered that it had a different mood effect than bipolar did. BPD has an effect on social standings and also causes mood swings, just like bipolar disorder, but bipolar is more extremist mood swings, while BPD causes a more feeling of loneliness and emptiness and a disassociation from reality. Our eighth fact of today is that this disorder actually develops around adolescence and early adulthood. It usually spawns from sort of trauma or family conflict. People with BPD mostly have had some family violence in their family or have been sexually assaulted in order for that BPD to be created or, develop in the brain. Our ninth fact of today is that BPD can lead into other disorders, like opening a door to other disorders, kind of like bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and also can lead to some eating disorders and some undeveloped, not fun stuff. It's because it's a mood disorder, and what it does can lead into these other disorders. And finally, for our facts, we have fact number 10, which is that borderline, quotes, is considered an outdated term in the medical community. Because this was kind of created, the term was introduced in 1932, so borderline is a bit outdated. Instead, nowadays, we should call it a mood disorder instead of borderline. It does lead into things, don't get me wrong, but a mood disorder fits it better than borderline actually would. Welcome to my little therapy office. Here we will be talking about therapy and medications for BPD. So, don't worry about if you have BPD or not, because you'll be okay. There's medications and therapies that are there to help you. Speaking of therapies, there is a therapy that is offered called psychodynamic therapy, which basically branches off into two different therapies. We have dialectical behavior therapy, aka DBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, aka CBT. So these have been shown to work actually pretty well with patients because of the fact that they're one-on-one talking, help getting patients to open up, help getting patients to actually reduce those intense emotions and help actually build their societal relationships. But if you do not want to do therapy, that is alright. Medications have also been there to help you. You'll basically get medications for depression, anxiety, simple like that, like Prozac. That will help with the panics and help with the emptiness feelings. So not all hope is lost for BPD. Or in certain cases, people have just not been shown to take medication and have been fine, though sometimes their behaviors are a little bit more extremist than people who have actually done the therapies and done the medications. Now over here we have a fancy new modern home to help us discuss famous people. As you can see, it's in a modern style, so modern is a celebrity. Now, I don't think any celebrity has come out saying that they actually have BPD or have experienced the stages of BPD. But from what we have seen and what we can tell, one of the most famous celebrities, actually in this case, that we think has BPD is Britney Spears. Britney Spears does show some signs like her mood swings, her behavior, her substance abuse, and some eating disorders, and also the fact that she has had constant panic attacks since she was 18 and was prescribed Prozac. So she probably developed this disorder due to her dysfunctional family, because when she was younger, her parents did divorce, and her father wasn't that great to her, and she had to witness a lot of family violence between the mother and the father and the stepfather. So she did not grow up in a great household, and she often would, argue with her parents to try to tell them to stop and to tell them to not fight. So this is an example of family trauma in adolescence, which could lead into BPD. We're here at the end. Thank you for sitting all the way through. Now, this disorder isn't as scary as I made it out to be. Trust me, it's actually super common, and it can be easily treated. It has some nasty side effects, and it causes some nasty feelings, but then again, most disorders do. It's not as bad as a disorder like schizophrenia or PTSD, but it is pretty bad in its own right. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on BPD, and I hope you learned a bit more about BPD than you already thought you knew. Thank you for approaching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!